Hello, everyone. Happy, I was about to say Friday, but in Turkey, it's actually Saturday already. So, happy Friday, Saturday, depending on where you are in the world. Thank you so much for coming. Please do hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. And thank you once again for getting us to 17,000 subscribers. Please let me know how the sound is today, because I think the internet is still a bit funny. I'm actually going to switch internets quickly, because I think the one that I'm connected to is a bit funny. Well, you let me know. Am I sounding okay so far? If I sound okay so far, I won't switch to the because I've got two internet connections. So if I'm sounding okay at the moment, then we can just stick to where we are. Okay, I sound good so far. All right. Let me know if it gets funny. Do let me know, and I'll try and do something about it. Thank you so much to H Knight, who's been a member for 8 months. Thank you so much appreciated. Yes, these are obviously AI generated images of Harry and Meghan. Harry and Meghan were not seen at Glastonbury. This AI stuff is getting out of control, but this is exactly how I'm going to look when the enemies are brought down. But the enemies seem to be doubling down and acting as though nothing is going on. And to be honest, um, they've gotten away with it for so long. Why would they? You know, it's not like there's great crowds of the British public marching down to Fleet Street demanding that Murdoch be dethroned, demanding a better press. So they're acting exactly how they've always acted because they've been allowed to. But I'm just hoping, as I'm sure many of us are, that this might just be the final nail in the coffin or the beginning of the end. Boy. Okay, let's see who's in the chat. Hey, Church Nelly. Please continue to pray for B Pal and her family. And I've seen a lot of you putting some thoughtful messages, so thank you for that. I'm sure if she sees them, she'll appreciate it. Church Nelly, you said, when you start sounding like the tabloids will call an exorcist, you're gonna need like 3 exorcists, a couple of African aunties, and who else should we call in? Just everybody with grand ancestors. Just call everybody in. An exorcist will not be enough. Helen, you said, today I was in the waiting area at my dentist. I picked up Bella magazine and saw Megan. I'm better off alone. This made me so vexed. I scribbled through it and write absolute rubbish. Oh my goodness. And you know what's just so crazy is the fact that they can print things like this without any consequence. Stuff that is just a ridiculous lie. You're not in Megan's house. You don't know what she said. So how can you just say Megan said she's better off alone? Oh. And you know, let's not forget that Dan Wooten, Carolyn Flack's ex, went after him and he got charged and jailed. That man needs to sue the judge that made that ruling. He needs to sue that judge and the state for every darn penny. Because he wasn't wrong. What can we do, folks? What can we do? Hopefully karma is on the way. All right, let's get into it. Haven't got too much. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do call-ins. It is so hot in Turkey. I think it was like 32, 33 where I am here in Istanbul. And I've definitely got a bit of a mini heat stroke because it's just been so warm. It is in the high 30s. I think the whole of Europe is in the high 30s. But when you're in a city, you can feel it a lot more. So I'm feeling a little bit woozy, so I'm just going to make it a quick one today. Right. First and foremost, some good news. Camilla will not be receiving the allowance from Parliament to the tune of £360,000 that would have been given to Prince Philip as the consort to the monarch. So let me just pull up the Sky News article so we can read this. It says the Queen, an independent public spending watchdog, the National Audit Office, examined the funding structures of the royal family in a report published on Friday, which suggests the king could alter future funding needs in a substantial way. When you think of the fact that Harry was on such a tight purse string, while at the same time was not given opportunities to be independent, when you look at headlines like this, you just go, this institution really is cold. They want you to be in their debt, literally. And I think Harry said in Spare that he'd never even ordered something online. And then when it came down to it, when Harry and Meghan had to leave, they were trying to decide, you know, how we're going to afford money for security, only to have security be pulled. And that's when Meghan finds out she's pregnant. And I think this is what people are missing. People are going, oh, but he's a prince. Like, how could he be so short for cash? Well, they weren't giving him his cash. And the cash that he did have, well, obviously, he'd want to give that to his children. Archie would have needed that money. So you can come from a family that has millions in the bank, but if they are using coercive control, which is what this is, financial abuse and coercive control, to not give you that money, you're going to be stuck. Anyway, I went off on a tangent there. Back to Camilla's money that she's not getting. The funding structures of the royal family are subject to scrutiny by the National Audit Office, the UK's independent public spending watchdog. A report on the royal household's spending and accountability was published on Friday as part of their work to improve transparency. It suggested the king's diary is expected to be busier than his late mother, the Queen, in part due to scaling back engagements due to the pandemic. The monarch could alter future funding needs in substantial ways as a result of the NAO's reports, it concluded. The report said Parliament provided Prince Philip with a separate fund worth $359,000 per annum. Queen Camilla, hate having to call her that, will not receive a separate fund, and the Queen's activities will be funded from the sovereign grant. What is a sovereign grant? A sovereign grant is a single grant supporting the monarch's official business as head of state that covers central staff costs and running expenses of the royal households, including official receptions and parties. Do you know what? I'm thinking more and more that the royals greatly abused the sovereign grant. Because we're talking something upwards of maybe 100 million a year. You're not going to convince me that it costs 100 million a year for you to show up at PR events to smile and wave here and there.
I'm sorry we can only come and give words and comfort, but we are thinking about you the whole time and we really care about what's going on. So
sometimes it does more than financial.
Well, if we can give you the odd smile here and there, that's important. So, you know.
There's just no way that it costs 100 million a year. No way. They definitely abuse the money. And there needs to be more transparency about where that money is going. Now, obviously, we do have the annual spending report, but the thing about it is that, for example, you have maybe, communications cost this much or transport costs this much, but it doesn't tell you in more detail, breaking down what each expenditure under that was. So you can very easily hide things and say that, transport costs this much. But there could have been other things underneath that they were spending the money on. So there's not enough transparency for me. Anyway, it goes on to say, it also funds the maintenance of royal palaces in England and travel costs for engagements and visits. In exchange, the king gives revenue from the Crown Estate to the government. The sovereign grant is calculated based on 25% of the Crown Estate's annual profits. A total of 86 million was granted from 2022 to 2023, the same as the previous year. The sovereign grant replaced the formal civil list, which saw the late Queen given a payment together with a number of government grants to cover official expenses in 2011. But the late Duke continued to receive the 359,000 fund every year, despite the change in the way the royal family's activities were funded by the taxpayers. That's interesting. The new legislation included a provision for Philip, who died aged 99 in 2021, to continue to receive the fund for his lifetime. Now, new laws would need to be created in order for Camilla to receive the funding. The king's future schedule, which has not yet been finalized, is likely to be busier than his late mother's. It talks about the pandemic again. it can reasonably be assumed the king will be hosting more events and traveling to more engagements within the UK overseas and at the request of the government. They're saying it can reasonably be assumed that the king will be hosting more events and traveling more than his mother. I don't see that happening. I just don't see that happening. I mean, he looks fed up and bored already. Does this look like someone? I mean, the Queen was doing what? Almost 300 events a year or something? Does this look like someone who's going to do more than that? However, the watchdog suggests there would be sufficient grants from the sovereign grant to pay for any extra costs. Okay, so it goes on a little bit more. Basically, Camilla ain't getting her money unless they change the law. Having said that, I'm pretty sure Charles will be scraping to get that money from somewhere. Because Camilla has worked very, very hard. Harder than a horse to get to where she is. And I don't think she's going to tolerate getting the bare minimum. On to other news. This whole situation with Hugh Edwards. Now, the parents who made the original allegations, they have been offered tens of thousands to do an interview on Talk TV, which, of course, is the sister station to The Sun where the allegations were first printed. So The Sun, via Talk TV, are not backing down. And, of course, Talk TV is where Piss Moron has a show. And there he is with Hugh Edwards some time back. Bet he's regretting that picture. On to other idiots. Dan Wooten. This is not a drill. Dan Wooten will be back on Monday. Now, there was actually another tweet going around from a fake GB News account. Please do be careful if you're on these Twitter streets. I think even Kaiser retweeted that post from that fake account. This is actually from the GB News Twitter page. Dan Wooten, yes, he will be back on Monday. So they're not backing down. They're not backing down at all. I think he's been on holiday in New Zealand. But they are getting dragged in the comment section. Dan Wooten has been dragged for the last 24 hours. No response whatsoever. Well, I guess you could say this is their response, right? Keep calm, ignore everything that's going on, and carry on. If the victims for Dan Wooten would like to all come forward, we all have your back. Everyone has your back. If we have to go fund me this man into prison, we will do that. Because ain't no way we got this far and this is just going to slide. I saw a quote from Tina from Sussex Square podcast yesterday, and she said, if Dan Wooten gets dragged to jail, me and Michelle are coming back to the podcast for 3 months. So you heard that, squaddies. We got to do a GoFundMe for some lawyers. We're going to GoFundMe for some lawyers to get this man in the jailhouse. There's a guy named Mark Wright, who's a reporter, who said, if the Daily Mail or News UK has protected Dan Wooten at your expense, get in touch. I'm reporting out this story now, and I absolutely welcome letters from Dan's legal team at Mission Derea. I'd love to be able to compel discovery. It's my honestly held opinion, and one that I believe a reasonable member of the public would also hold, that Dan Wooten is professionally and personally dangerous indeed. And now I guess we know how he's been able to stay in his position for so long, despite the fact that this man has no real talent, no charisma, is nothing but a bully, and is average at best. A -3 in the looks department. How has he been able to have a career for so long and bully people for so long? Because he's been blackmailing people. And here he is with his buddies, Angela Latrine. Yes, that is Kate Middleton's brother that Dan Wooten is posing there with on the red carpet. Liz Truss, who couldn't outlast the cabbage in government. And let's not forget how Dan Wooten weaponized Meghan's father against her. And also, it was Dan Wooten who first started well, I mean, I guess the rumors were there, but he's the first one that put those rumors in print in a tabloid when he was at the Sun. Kate Middleton has fallout with glamorous best friend and tells Prince William that she has to be phased out. And Richard Eden posted about it at the time. He said, "Intriguing follow-up by Dan Wooten in the Sun to my item last weekend about Prince William's friend Rose." Also, I guess it was Richard Eden who wrote about it first, and then Dan Wooten followed up. But soon after that, Dan Wooten and Richard Eden and the press pretty much went quiet. And they haven't really talked about it since. But what they haven't been quiet about is their hatred towards Meghan and the vitriol that has been spewed towards her. And it really amped up around the time there were rumors of an affair with Prince William. And Dan Wooten became one of the loudest mouthpieces. At least one hit job a week on his show. Boy, these people I really hope the worst for them. And it's just disgusting how normalized their behavior has become. Right, to your comments. Thank you so much, Chosen to be his. Thank you for the super sticker. Alicia, I will never call her queen. Hi everyone, if you're just joining us. Oh, no problem at all, Chosen to be his. I just appreciate that you are here. You know, if you can support the channel financially, I'm always grateful for that. If not, it is absolutely fine. Just you watching the channel obviously helps with ad revenue. It helps with the algorithm. So I never expect anyone to donate to me if you can and you want to. Days, y'all watching Suits? Haven't had a moment to yet. I haven't. I probably won't until I have an actual holiday. Because the thing about not being in a like proper job and having to do work for yourself is that you have to make your holidays, but if you're not working, then you know you're not making income. So I've scheduled like a holiday for myself later on in the year. But being self-employed, it's difficult, guys, especially when you're a freelancer. You never know if a client will drop out or, you know. But I will get round to watching Suits eventually. I just need to like actually do it on my holiday. But I'm glad to see so many people who never watched it before are now watching it, are falling in love with Meghan, falling in love with the show. It's doing great, you know, for everybody who was on that show. So even stuff Meghan touched years ago turn into gold. Yes, Shifidilly, come on, victims. Together. Like this, like now, everybody is backing you. I don't think you've ever had a situation where you had a famous man in the media. How often do you see that? When you see a famous man in the media accused of abuse and everyone is backing the victims. Like there's almost I haven't seen a single person, other than the usuals, of course, who are banding together defending Dan Wooten. Other than people like Carol Malone, who herself is a Meghan hater, I don't see anyone backing Dan Wooten. So if you are a victim, please do come forward. Everybody has your back. And look at what she said. Dan is on holiday in New Zealand with his family. He has been for 10 days, spending time with his baby niece. Does that answer your loaded question? Weaponizing a baby. I wonder how she'll feel when she's older and she finds out about what her uncle was allegedly doing. Invading people's privacy, coercion, abuse. Thank you so much, Gwen Stevenson, for the super sticker. Much appreciated. Wendy, you said Dan Wooten has friends in powerful places. Yes, indeed. That's why he's been around for so long. And they're all doing the same thing. That's why it's so difficult to. I mean, there's another high-profile individual who's just got a gagging order. This is a different guy. This was at the beginning of July. And this is a different guy. So there's someone else high in the ranks of the BBC who's a nonce. Church Nelly, it just occurred to me, they really hate Meghan because she helped Harry to escape. Yeah. And the weird thing about it all is, do you know what? I'm starting to think that these people actually enjoy their misery. The whole point of there being a royal family is they are meant to be the face, right? These individuals are meant to be the face of an institution whose role is to keep order and control. There's actually no reason why there cannot be love, unity, and teamwork between the royals. There's no reason why. Their job is to just be the face, and we watch them living this fairy tale and the weddings and the babies, and we're all mesmerized, and so we don't question the system and bring down the system. They choose to be miserable. They choose to be corrupt. They choose to be the worst type of people because the wealth and the position and the privilege, they've allowed that to corrupt them. But if they would only get on, there would have never been a situation where Harry felt like he had to leave and then leave with his wife. If there would only just be good people, we would never have had all the drama with Charles, Camilla, and Diana. They choose to be corrupt and they choose to be miserable. And you've seen even with other royal families that, from the outside looking in anyway, seem to get on and seem to be relatively normal. So what is it with the Windsors? Which isn't even their real name. They changed their name. Black Queen, isn't Dan Rotten the one who harassed Caroline Fleck and pushed her over the edge? Isn't Dan the one who got her boyfriend sentenced for defending her honor and memory against her demon? Yes, that's him. That would be him. And then he cried fake tears when she died. Anne Lewis, as it's an allegation on Dan Woo Woo, Dan Whatnot, the company will not sack him unless facts proved. He likes to take photos, but someone will have their own facts and he outwits them. Who was his mentor? Yeah, that's a good question. Who was his mentor? How did he learn to be such a manipulative git? Imagine raising such a monster. Oh, congratulations to Kim Brown on 11 months of membership. Thank you, Kim Brown. EMG, I'm a freelance violinist. Oh, amazing. Got some talented people in the squad. It is hard to create actual time off. Exactly, because I don't get paid leave. There's no such thing as paid leave when you work for yourself. But I would still rather be working for myself than being absolutely miserable in a job. I was dying in a job. Okay, I think, was that all I wanted to go through? Yeah, that's all I wanted to go through. Meghan, our beautiful Meghan, will prevail against these two trolls. I mean, this on the screen. This is who controls the UK press, and we let it happen. And you know what's so unfortunate. I did not actually realize how bad the press was and how deep the rot went until Meghan came into the royal family. I've grown up in the UK my entire life. It took for this situation for me to go, hang on a minute, what's going on here? And it's like Meghan's presence, no fault of her own, not anything she meant to do, but it really did just blow off the lid on a huge problem. Even with the whole phone hacking trial, I still did not understand how bad it was and how all encompassing it is with our press in the UK. So much corruption. And when you think that there may be some news outlets that could be reasonable, like the Guardian, and then like yesterday, I found that article and I read a little bit of it of that guy who was excusing inappropriate relationships with children. That was an article that was written in the Guardian. So brazen with their perversions. What can we do other than keep bringing awareness to it? And with that, thank you so much, everyone. I'll read your comments and we will call it a day. I need to get some cold water, crack open the windows, put on a fan, and lie down because it has been insanely hot today. And Dan Wooten is hiding out. I mean, he might as well just stay in New Zealand, to be honest. And Lewis, you said, allegedly it seems Murdoch hires some very strange and questionable characters as his frontmen to do for his organization. Yes. And when you have a corrupt organization, you actually want questionable characters because you're going to keep their secrets and they're going to keep yours. Truly horrific. Truly horrific. Lucia, isn't Dan the same person who said, why is it illegal to watch child? No, that was another guy who was defending the Hugh Edwards guy. He wrote an article in the Guardian talking about that. That's who that was. I don't think I've actually ever heard Dan Wooten himself saying that. He mostly keeps his dark behaviors in the dark. Antoinette, and once you start watching Suits, you won't stop. Ooh. Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things. Not just about Meghan, but just that the whole show is pretty good. Oh, thank you so much to Marilyn King on 18 months membership. Appreciate you all, folks, for your dedication to this channel. Make sure I haven't missed any. One sec, folks. Okay, I said H. Knight, I said Kim Brown, Marilyn King, Gwen Stephenson, and Chosen to Be His. Thank you all so much for being so generous. Yeah, Agnes, they're also bored. Imagine all that wealth and you still can't be happy. And I think deep down it's because they know that they haven't earned it. And then to see someone like Meghan, who's actually earned it, come in and all the love and adoration she gets and how popular she became. Yes, Yelly beat. Harry was right. Camilla is dangerous. There will be bodies on the street, he said. And he gave Dan Wooten the best nickname ever. Sad little man. Sad little man was buddying up to Kate Middleton's brother. Thank you so much, Chosen to Be His. Yeah, Lucy, Jimmy Savile's case showed that the press will protect those on their side. And it was only when Jimmy Savile died, that's when everything started to unravel. And there are still things, let me tell you, from the Jimmy Savile case that are still left in whispers. if you read into some of the other things, that were never looked into too much, which I won't say on this channel because I don't want to get censored. But there's a lot about Jimmy Savile that still never came out or wasn't examined more closely. I mean, the guy used to volunteer at morgues, is all I'm going to say. All right, let's not block our chakras with too much negative energy. If you go to the community tab, I put a really nice meditation if you want to listen to a nice meditation before we go into the weekend. And I thank you all as always. Thank you so much, Pele Scott, for 13 months of being a member. Thank you. I thank you all for your time, generosity. And yeah, let's just keep our fingers crossed. Let's see where this goes. Dan's gonna be back. They're saying on Monday. We'll see. We'll see if he shows up. We'll see if he says anything. They must be scrambling to get the lawyers. So yeah, we'll see. Fingers crossed, folks. I will see you. Yeah, I think I'll see you later on. I have to say later on today because I'm actually on Saturday at the moment. But I might not see you tomorrow because I'm doing something with Get Your Guide, who sponsors some of my travels tomorrow. So I might not do a Sunday show, but we'll see. Just to let you know in case I don't show up. All right, ciao. See you later.
All the